Hey everyone, welcome back to Overlanding World. In this video, we're going to show you how we fit 35-inch tires on our Toyota Sequoia. So the first gen Sequoias are pretty big and beefy cars, and so we needed some big, fat, juicy tires to go with it and give us kind of the stance that we were looking for. But besides just the look of the car, we also, wanted to be able to climb over whatever obstacles we wanted to, and the 35s definitely give us that extra lift that we're looking for. And honestly, when you air them down, they're still pretty comfy too, so all around it's a win-win.
Alright, so fitting 35s, the easiest part on the entire car is on the back end, because here it's not much to it. You need a minimum of a 2-inch lifted spring and some sort of an extended length shock to go with it. And honestly, that's all it takes to fit a 35-inch tire on the back of the Sequoia. There's no rubbing under full compression, and under full droop, everything works perfectly as well. The stock bump stop takes care of everything, and we'll show you guys there's no rubbing across the fender wells or anything like that. On our car, we're running the Old Man Emu 2-inch progressive rear springs, which give the car somewhat of a nice ride. And we're also running the Icon monotube extended length shocks. We got this from the First Gen Off-Road website. We'll link that also in the description as well. And yeah, it's pretty affordable on the backside to make it all work, and it's pretty easy. Alright, so now the front end is where it all gets interesting, because it is kind of hard to make this whole thing work, but it's not impossible. So starting with the lift, you're going to need at least a 2.5 inch of a lift from factory. Now we have King coilovers from the first gen Tundra chassis, but any sort of a lift for the front of the Sequoia will work, minimum of a 2.5 inch. Now if you're lifting it up that high, you also have to get a corrected upper control arm so it can correct your caster angle. We have this cheapo one from, what was it called? Freedom Off-Road. But we highly recommend you guys get the adjustable ones, because they'll make your alignments way easier. We kind of went a little bit cheap with this one, so we highly recommend the upgraded one. So that's what you need on the suspension side to make the 35 works. Now let's talk about the wheels and the body. So the next part of the equation is the wheels and the spacers. Now a 35-inch tire, at least a 315/70/17, is a very wide tire in itself. So with the stock rims, you're going to be rubbing against that upper control arm. So what you're going to have to do is get some zero offset wheels. These are Method 701s, and we love these wheels, of course, because they look pretty sick. But yeah, any sort of a wheel with something like a zero offset that can push out your tire away from that upper control arm will work. Now you're also going to need to get some 1.25 or 1.5 inch spacers. There's a lot from on Amazon. I think Spider Tracks is what they're called. We found these locally. We picked up a set of 4 for pretty cheap. And make sure to get good quality spacers that are hub centric, that apply the load onto your hub instead of your lug nuts, because that's the last thing you want on a car that you're gonna off-road. So yeah, spacers and different wheels is one part of the whole build on making 35s fit in the front. Next up is the body work.
So the next part about fitting 35s is fixing the body rub, which is probably the most fun yet the most frustrating part of the entire thing. So the first thing we had to do is take out the fender liner, because that was just rubbing crazy. And the next thing is how it rubs on the body itself. So you're going to need a big ass hammer, and you just need to go to town and whack this thing in. We know a lot of people end up, cutting this piece out and welding a new one, kind of set back more so it doesn't rub. We've been able to actually hit it maybe enough for now that it's not rubbing constantly, but we might end up at that spot too. But it seems like no matter how much you hit it, it's still going to rub in certain angles and certain articulations. So the next part of fitting the 35s is getting it to not rub on the front bumper. So this is not a stock front bumper, but with the stock front bumper, we definitely had to cut off pretty much a lot of it with the Sawzall in order to get it to not rub. We'll definitely insert some clips of that just because we don't have it anymore, but you can pretty much cut off enough and then you'll be fine. Before we get into some boring stuff like MPG, let's hit it with the B-roll.
guys, and that's all it takes to fit 35s on a first gen Sequoia. Now a lot of people also on the internet ask how bad is the fuel mileage and how noticeable is the acceleration side. Now the fuel mileage of course has suffered
Yeah.
as we expected. With the stock tires you would expect to get around 20 miles per gallon on the freeway at like 60-65 miles an hour, but now we get maybe like 16 or 17, which is expected from how much weight we have added to the car and with the lift and everything. And regarding the acceleration, we don't really complain. We have really no complaints. It's still pretty fast.
Well, we went from the Discovery to this,
Yeah.
so anything feels faster, honestly. I could scooter faster than that car can go.
Yeah.
So honestly, it's not bad at all. We could still zoom around on the freeway and do whatever we need to do. So.
Yeah, and I feel like the main reason for that is because of the 5-speed transmission that the 2005 to 2007s have. Maybe if you had a 2001, 2004, you might feel a slight difference and kind of complain and want to re-gear. But for us, we have no complaints. The car's still pretty fast, way faster than our old car that we had.
Yeah.
So
It's a huge
yeah,
improvement.
we're pretty happy with it, and the gas mileage too.
Alright guys, that's going to be it for this video. We hope you enjoyed and learned a little bit, and we hope to see you guys running 35s on your Sequoia as well. If you have any questions at all, be sure to hit us in the comments. You could also find us on Instagram at overlanding_world, and we'll see you in the next one.